businesses that are the most successful and compare them to the ones that struggle to grow and really don't get anywhere very fast, you'll notice that one of the key differences is that the most successful ones are super dialed in on who their ideal client is. Like, they seem to be speaking inside your head. They know exactly what it is that you want, what your problems are, how you're experiencing. There's so many elements. And what I'm going to unpack for you today in today's episode are 3 things that you must know about your ideal client if you are going to connect with them on the level like those most successful businesses do. So stay tuned because it's coming right up. Hello, and I'm your host of She's the Business podcast, Jessica Osborne. I'm a business coach and marketing strategist, specifically helping you to position as an expert and create the offer that brings in multiple 6-figure income. And that would be profitable income, and doing that in 20 hours a week or less so that you have time to enjoy your life, to be a mum with your kids, whatever it is that makes you lit up and happy to wake up every day and know that this is your life. So I created She's the Business podcast as a platform to help us expand and reach more female voices who are in business. You'll hear strategies, mindset tips, health, wellness, spirituality. You'll hear from guests who are experts in different areas of business and marketing, like myself, but also health, wellness, spirituality, energetics, really anything and everything that we need as females running our own business and busy lives to be successful and to avoid burnout and ultimately to be able to enjoy personal success as well as professional success. So this is your weekly dose of motivation and inspiration made by women for women just like you. Now let's get back to today's episode topic. So what are these 3 things you really need to know about your ideal client in order to have the sort of cut through with your messaging that those most successful, we'll call them the gurus, seem to have? And I have drawn these 3 things out of my own customer avatar profiling tool or client avatar profiling tool that I've had for a number of years now. And I've been told multiple times by people who are my clients and who also aren't my clients that it is by far the most detailed profiling exercise they've ever done, and they've never known their ideal client to the level that they do now. So I know that it gets recommended and lots of people are downloading it every day off my website, which is fantastic. So I thought I'd go in there and pull out 3 of the probably lesser known questions that I ask that you probably haven't heard before. And these are ones that I feel are very essential to knowing your ideal client to the level that you need to know them. Let's start with number 1. What do they see as their problem? Now, this is really important because as an expert in what you do, as a coach, a service provider, a consultant, you likely know your topic very well, which means that when you look at your ideal client, you can usually see pretty quickly what it is that they're doing wrong, right? So you can see where the problem is. You've likely figured out straight away the source and the cause of their problem. But what does your ideal client see as their problem? Because usually these are not the same. They have a different context of the problem, and it's normally framed in how they're experiencing it. And this is where I see so many coaches specifically, because you have such a great desire to help people, speaking to your ideal client about completely the wrong thing. Because if you're talking to them about what you see as their problem, not what they see as the problem, then there's a disconnect that's going on that doesn't really matter how expert you are, how much credibility you have. It certainly doesn't matter to them whether you have awards or qualifications if they think you're talking about something that doesn't matter to them, right? If they aren't aware what is the source of their problem, then you speaking about it is going to go straight over their head. So What did they see as their problem? Like, how would they actually describe it? I want you to just start thinking about that for a minute. They're going to describe their problem more than likely in the terms of their experience, what they are feeling, what's happening to them on a daily basis, weekly basis, whatever it is. That depends on what it is that you do and help them with. But how are they experiencing it? Once you start to really tap into that, and I recommend to not rush this and take a bit of time, maybe close your eyes, imagine that you are them, forget about all the expert stuff that you know and all the experience you have. You really need to take yourself back to their shoes, put yourself in their shoes. Maybe you used to be them. Maybe, a lot of people are or were your own ideal client a long time ago, and now you help people like that. Sometimes that's not the case. That's okay. But if you know them well enough, then you should be able to put yourself in their shoes, be able to access only what they know already. So the level of understanding and awareness that they have about their issue, about the problem that they're facing, so that you can see it from their perspective. Now, just to give you an example of this, because I'm talking very contextually there, and maybe that's harder to center in on, I'll give you an example of some of my clients. So my clients, they are often perceiving that the problem they are having is that they're not getting enough clients. That's usually the problem, right? Their business is they want to have a successful business. They want to grow their business, and they're thinking it's not growing fast enough, therefore I need more clients. And usually this leads into their context or their perceived issue is that they're just not visible enough. So they attempt to solve the problem of not enough clients by solving the problem of not enough visibility. And they're not wrong in that usually they don't have enough visibility. However, they have misdiagnosed the cause of the lack of visibility. And the misdiagnosis they have usually taken, which I'd say 99% of people have done, is that they think they're just not doing enough activity. So they tend to post more. They go, right, I need to be more visible. I'm going to get on whatever platform is they decide that they need to be on. Usually they're adding new platforms. They need to be everywhere. And they start creating more content. And of course, that helps them to become more visible, right? Because now they're in more places, more people can see them. What then happens is they get very frustrated and discouraged when it doesn't lead to more sales, because the diagnosis that they created in their own mind of the reason they don't have clients is because they're not visible enough, that actually wasn't the proper cause of the problem. So the thing is that what I know as being an expert is it's the positioning that is off or misaligned or unclear that's the cause of them not having enough clients. They need the positioning sorted first, then you can, of course, increase visibility if you need to do that. But often I find with my clients in particular, if they've already got some form of visibility happening, as in they're already posting somewhere, they've already got a way that people can find them. Once they fix the positioning, then things already start to change before they go and add way more activity. So yeah, we can avoid the burnout and we can do that. But if I started talking straight away to people about fixing their positioning, these people aren't going to be thinking I'm speaking to them. They're thinking, well, that's not my problem. I just need to be more visible. I just need to post more. I need a strategy on how to do 7 posts in a day, or I need the latest, obviously, being AI, all of these people who are selling you various AI prompts, telling you how to create 10 different reels from one prompt or whatever it is. So they're really diving into that because they're thinking that's going to solve their problem. And so this is where, if you were me and using this example, got to meet them where they're at. So if they're thinking their problem is visibility, then instead of just talking straight away about positioning, I need to start by talking about visibility and how visibility is really important, but just creating more content isn't going to solve Your sales problem, being more visible doesn't suddenly attract more sales unless you are positioned properly, unless you're attracting the right people. The right people are seeing you, right? Even if the right people are seeing you, if you have unclear positioning, they don't know why you're the one for them. They don't know why they should lean in. They don't, the next step doesn't happen. So it is subtle. Of course, there are many things in there, but as you can see, you need to be so clear on what it is they think their problem is, because that's how you create the sort of content that resonates with them, that they pay attention to, because you're suddenly speaking to them on their level, where they're at, and you can bring them along on the journey with you to where you need them to be. So that's number one. The second question that I have pulled out of my customer avatar worksheet for you is, what do they actually want? Now, I know this sounds so basic. Once again, you're like, well, of course I know what they want, but do you? Just stop for a minute. What is it that they actually want? And can you get more specific about it, more detailed? So for an example, and we'll keep using my example because it's one I'm familiar with, more clients, right? My clients want more clients. That's usually their go-to, their initial reaction if you ask what it is that they want. But then we need to take this a few levels deeper. Well, okay, do you just want more clients, or is there a specific type of client? What sort of clients is it that you're wanting to attract? And when we start to peel back the layers, we'll find, they don't want just any client, because some of them that they've experienced before haven't always been an A-class client. Some have been difficult, some haven't paid, some have been, more trouble than what they were worth. And that's just the way that things can be sometimes in business. That's okay. But they probably don't want to attract more of that type, do they? They want to attract more of the ones that they would put in and label as dream client. So let's figure out, what is a dream client? Don't just say, I'll help you attract more dream clients. Let's get specific. So for my clients, the things that commonly come up when I push them to describe their dream client, there would be the type of person who's committed. They're committed to what it is that they're doing. They're committed to solving the problem, i.e. they're going to show up. They're actually going to implement. They're going to be engaged in this project or in this program, whatever it is that you're going to do with them. Of course, you want someone who's engaged, right? Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult for you both to get to the finish line. They also want somebody who pays promptly, who doesn't complain, doesn't ask for refunds, all of that type of thing. So committed, pays promptly, is aligned in terms of their values and what they see as important, and is generally, their version of what is the right, pleasant person to work with as a client. So you can go into the detail there. Now, suddenly we've got a far clearer idea of what it is that they want, right? So when you're thinking, okay, now I know what it is they want, and you can ask, how do they want it? You can get even more clear. Now, this is really important because, of course, the question, what do they want, leads you into, well, what is the right offer for your ideal client? Because if your offer isn't clearly going to give them what they want, then they aren't going to buy in the first place. People buy what they want, right? And that's very simple. But business doesn't have to be difficult, doesn't have to be overcomplicated. It is simple. It's just that we often add in so much overthinking, so many different things, that our judgment gets really clouded, and we end up creating something that's what we think we want or what we think they want. But when you haven't taken the time just to actually drill down into what it is that they want, let's get clear on it. Let's forget about everything else. Forget about even what you think they should want, right? Because there's a lot of that. We often project onto our audience what we know as the cause of the problem, what we think they should want. Sometimes it's not what they actually want after all. They want something different. So let's make sure you're creating the offer that is what your ideal clients really want, or that's going to give them what they want, right? They probably don't want the offer. They want the outcome that it's going to bring. So I hope that makes sense. And I hope that is simple and clear. It doesn't have to be complex. As I said before, let's keep it simple. So that's the second question. The third question is, what do they know they don't know? Now, this you might think is an interesting question. What does your ideal client know that they don't know? So this would be what they are actively searching for or actively looking for help with. If it's in the zone of something they don't know that they don't know, like they're completely oblivious to it, they're not searching for it, right? So this question in particular is super important because if you're going to be discovered by more people, it's going to be because they're looking for the thing that they don't know, that they want to know, right? And that is how you're going to get discovered. It's also how they're going to suddenly stop and pay attention to what you're saying because they're like, aha, this person is talking about the thing that I don't know and that I want to know. So they start leaning in. You may then go on to share something that they don't even know that they don't know and blow their mind. But the thing is, if you start talking on the levels of things that they aren't even aware of at the moment, then it's not going to be as powerful in terms of grabbing their attention unless you've started with the thing that they already know they don't know, because that's what they're interested in knowing, usually. Okay, I know that every time I say things, I like to argue with myself. Of course, there'll be things that they know that they don't even care about, but we'll put them to the side. Stuff that they care about, when they're looking at their goal, at what they want, and then there's something in between, there's a gap. There's usually a gap of knowledge, a gap of skills, and in that gap is something they know they don't know. That's what they're seeking help with. So you might want to brainstorm this, you might want to map it out. This is a really important question to answer. So as you can tell, these three questions are probably not on your standard client avatar worksheet, are they? And they're just three of the questions. My worksheet has around 37 different questions because the more that you can understand how your client's thinking, where they're at, what they're feeling about it, what they're interested in, it's going to help your marketing, your content, everything that you're doing be far more sticky, far more interesting, help them lean in, help them reach out and say, I want more. I'd like to know more about it. And so it's really, really important to do that. And you might then ask, well, once I know all these things, how do I create a client avatar? Great question. That's all included in the worksheet. So what you end up with at the end of it is, I usually advise people to give your avatar a name. So you give them a name and they become like a person you get to know. And then when you're writing a headline, an email, your next piece of content, whether, whatever it is that you create, podcast, blogs, it doesn't matter. You've got this person in your mind. You're thinking, I'm talking to Sarah. And I know that's right. You know so much about Sarah that it becomes really easy to speak to them, which is cool. Now, you can download this worksheet. I did mention at the start, it is a free resource that I've had on my site for a long time now, and it is still my most popular free resource because it's a good one, right? So you can grab your own copy of that. The link is in the show notes. And I know, because you're thinking, well, that sounds like a lot of work and a lot of questions. We are in the age of AI. So last year, I actually turned this resource, I used the questions from this resource. I created a custom AI agent that you punch in some answers to, not as many questions as that, but you answer some questions and it actually does the work of analyzing your responses and then turning it into a custom avatar profile that puts it all together and makes it very humanized so that you can get to know your ideal customer, and it's going to take you far less time and a bit less thinking as well. But the beautiful thing about this is that you're inputting a lot of the information into it. So what it's not doing, which I see a lot of AI bots and agents that people have created, they're kind of asking AI to do the thinking and the research. And guess where it's researching? At the same place everyone else is, right? So this is actually drawing out some unique perspectives that you have on your audience and helping you to turn them into insights and answers about your really unique customer avatar, your client avatar profile so that it's definitely never going to be the same as anyone else's, because your inputs are obviously unique and different to what other people might put in. So this tool that I developed and built, I've currently got for sale on an introductory price. The price will increase soon. I don't know when I'll put that up, but right now it's super, super cheap. So if you'd like to use the AI bot to get this done for you, then go ahead in the show notes, click that link over to the bot and grab a copy. You're going to be able to use this again and again and again. Like, you have unlimited lifetime access to my client avatar bot once you sign up for it. So it is a very tiny investment for a lot of support. Anytime you want to make a change, you're adjusting your positioning, or you've got a new, idea of how you want to focus your targeting and change that audience a little bit, you can go back in and use this tool again, which I think is super valuable. So go and grab yourself a copy. It's under $20 at the moment. It will definitely be more than that, because it's worth so much more to your business, literally in the thousands. But I just created it, and it is at an introductory price at the moment. So enjoy that, and thank you for tuning in today. I'd love to hear from you. If you do use the bot and you get an avatar profile, please get in touch and share something with me from it. I'd love to hear how you got on. Likewise with the worksheet as well. I always like to hear from people who are using my resources, how it's helped you. And obviously that's how I heard people keep telling me that they're recommending it to their friends because they've enjoyed it so much. So please continue to do that. I really do love to hear from you. And I'll be back again with another episode next week. I'll speak to you then.